Dr. Keth stood in the bright white room looking at floating blue screens. The tall green alien with scales moved her long fingers across the data. Around her, other aliens from different planets sat at metal tables. They all looked confused and worried. For 3 months, they had been trying to understand one thing about humans. Just one word that made no sense to any of them: honor. "Look at this report again," said Commander Zix. The bug-like alien clicked her sharp mouth parts. Her big round eyes reflected the blue light from the screens. Human soldiers died, protecting, enemy wounded. They could have lived if they just ran away. Why did they choose death? Dr. Keth's scales changed color from green to yellow. This happened when her kind felt puzzled. "I have studied their behavior for so long. Humans bond with their groups. They solve problems well. They adapt to new places easily. But this honor thing breaks all the rules." A crystal being named Professor Nex glowed with frustrated orange light. "We tested this many times. When humans must choose between helping themselves or doing what they call right, they pick right, even when it hurts them badly. The math says they should choose to help themselves 9 times out of 10. The room filled with worried sounds, chirps, clicks, and electronic beeps from different alien languages. Mindlink Kel spoke through the shared thoughts of their hive people. Maybe honor is just broken tribal loyalty. Like a disease in their thinking that makes them act stupid. "No," Dr. Keth said firmly. She made the screens show human war records. "See these deaths. Human medics who died saving children from planets that hated humans. Soldiers who gave food to starving enemies. This is not tribal behavior. This is something else." The aliens became quiet. Each of their species understood loyalty to their own kind. They knew how to think about tactics and saving resources, but humans seemed to have something that went beyond smart thinking about staying alive. Commander Zix's thin arms shook with worry. "The Confederation Council fears this. If we cannot understand and predict when humans will act with honor, how can we trust them as partners? What if their honor makes them work against us?" Dr. Keth's long tail hit the floor once. Among her people, this meant she had decided something important. Then we need to study a real human. Someone who shows this honor thing in its strongest form. Professor Nex's crystal body changed to show the path of an incoming spaceship. "The humans are sending someone for cultural exchange next week. His name is Sir Marcus Kim." "Sir?" Mind-linked Kel asked through their shared mind. "This means he has rank." "No," Dr. Keth said. She had spent much time learning human social systems. "It means something called knighthood, an old title connected to their honor rules." Commander Zix's mouth parts clicked as she thought, "Perfect. If we cannot understand honor by watching from far away, maybe we can understand it by meeting someone who claims to live by it." Dr. Keth pulled up more data about this Sir Marcus Kim. He had been a tournament fighter who played at being an ancient warrior. Then he became a real soldier who taught others about fighting with honor. He even carried an old sword, though modern weapons were much better. "Look at his service record," she said. "He has refused 3 promotions because taking them would mean ignoring corruption. He once disobeyed direct orders to save civilians on a planet that was not strategically important. He was punished, but said he would do it again." Professor Nex pulsed with confused light. "He damaged his career to help strangers. The cost-benefit analysis makes no sense." "That is exactly why we must study him," Dr. Keth replied. "Every species in this room has reached the stars by being logical. We solve problems by finding the most efficient path. We survive by making smart choices about resources and risks." She paused and looked around the room at all the different alien faces. "But humans seem to have found something that makes them willing to die for strangers. Something that makes them choose difficulty over ease. Something that makes them give up personal gain to do what they call right." Commander Zix leaned forward. And you think this Sir Marcus Kim will show us what that something is? I think he will show us whether honor is humanity's greatest weakness, or their most dangerous strength, Dr. Keth said. Because if honor makes humans unpredictable, that could be bad for the Confederation. But if honor makes humans more effective somehow, we need to understand how. The meeting ended with all the aliens agreeing to carefully observe this human knight when he arrived. They prepared tests and scenarios to see how he would react. They set up monitoring equipment to measure his responses. None of them knew that they were about to learn something that would change not just their understanding of humans, but their understanding of themselves. None of them realized that honor was not something you could study from the outside like a disease or a mathematical equation. They were about to discover that honor was something you could only truly understand by choosing to live it yourself. Sir Marcus Kim walked off the small transport ship with a big smile. He moved like someone who felt comfortable and confident. The 34-year-old human had short black hair and kind brown eyes. He wore the standard blue uniform that human diplomats used, but something about him was different. Dr. Keth noticed the strange additions to his uniform right away. His shoulders had shiny metal pieces that looked ceremonial. He carried an old leather bag that seemed very important to him. Most puzzling of all, a long metal object hung from his belt. Dr. Keth, right? Marcus held out his hand in the human greeting way. The green-scaled alien tried to copy the gesture with her clawed hand. It felt awkward. I am Lieutenant Colonel Marcus Kim, but most people just call me Sir Marcus. It is an honor to meet you. The word honor made several aliens look at each other with worry. Dr. Keth felt her body temperature rise with stress. The honor is ours, Sir Marcus, she said back, testing the strange title. We understand you represent human cultural traditions. Among other things, Marcus seemed really happy to be there. I am here for the cultural exchange program, but I am also a working soldier. I used to be a tournament knight, and now I teach combat ethics and battlefield honor codes. Professor Nex changed to a questioning yellow color. Tournament knight. This means competitive fighting. Historical combat recreation. Actually, I spent 15 years doing medieval reenactment. Full armor, real weapons, proper knight codes. When humanity started going to space and met all of you, the Defense Corps thought someone who understood old honor traditions might be useful for diplomatic work. Commander Zix's bug eyes focused on his belt. The metal thing you carry is a weapon. Marcus touched his hip instinctively. It is my sword, family blade. Actually, it belonged to my great-grandfather back on Earth. Mostly decorative now, but he lifted his shoulders. A knight feels strange without his sword. The alien scientists looked at each other again. Mind link. Kel spoke through their group mind. You carry a useless weapon for emotional comfort. It works fine, Marcus said calmly. Just not usually needed. But it is not about comfort. It is about commitment. The sword reminds me what I have promised to uphold. Dr. Keth leaned closer. Promise to who? Your government, your military commanders. Marcus stopped to think about his words. To the ideals I serve. Protection of innocent people, defense of the weak, honesty in all dealings, mercy to defeated enemies. The usual knight promises, updated for space service. The green alien felt more confused. But what enforces these promises? What punishment comes if you break them? Well, Marcus said with a small smile, I do. If I broke those promises, I could not live with myself. That is punishment enough. Professor Nex glowed with confused orange light. Self-enforcement of behavior limits that give no material benefit. This goes against optimization principles. Does it? Marcus looked genuinely curious. Seems to me that a person who cannot trust themselves cannot be trusted by others. And trust is pretty valuable in military operations, diplomatic missions, and general life. Over the next few days, the Research teams started their observation tests. They gave Marcus carefully designed problems. Ethical dilemmas, resource allocation puzzles, survival situations with multiple possible outcomes, in test after test. Marcus chose paths that the alien observers calculated as bad for personal advancement. When offered a promotion that would require him to ignore evidence of corruption, he said no. When shown a simulation where he could save more lives by sacrificing prisoners, he found a third option that saved both groups. Interesting, Dr. Keth noted after a week of testing. He consistently chooses paths that follow honor rules over personal benefit, yet he seems content with these choices. More than content, Commander Zix observed. His stress indicators actually go down when he makes what he calls the right choice, even when that choice involves personal sacrifice. MindLink Kel processed this data through their group consciousness. Could honor be a form of mental conditioning? A psychological framework that gives emotional satisfaction instead of material rewards. Dr. Keth watched Marcus through the observation window. He was reading reports about recent Confederation military actions. His face showed concern when he read about civilian casualties, even though they were not human civilians. "Look at this," she said to her colleagues. "He is genuinely upset about the suffering of beings he has never met, from species not his own. His body language shows real emotional distress." Professor Nex pulsed with confused light. But caring about strangers provides no evolutionary advantage. It wastes emotional energy that could be used for self-preservation or advancement. Unless, Commander Zix said slowly, caring about strangers creates some other advantage. We do not understand. Dr. Keth made a decision. Tomorrow we present him with the ultimate test. A scenario where honor and survival are completely opposite choices. We will see which one he picks. She did not know that their carefully controlled experiment was about to become terrifyingly real. None of them suspected that within hours, they would face a situation where Marcus would have to choose between his honor and his life, and they would discover that sometimes the most important lessons cannot be learned from observation alone. The loud warning sirens broke the quiet morning on Research Station Omega-7. Dr. Keth jumped from her sleeping pod, her scales automatically changing to dark colors for hiding. Her heart beat fast as fear chemicals flooded her body. All people. 2 emergency stations. Commander Zix's voice came over the speakers. Her usual calm was gone, replaced by barely controlled panic. "We have many hostile ships coming. Devourer fleet, number Alpha time until they attack us. 4 hours. The Devourers." Even thinking the name made Dr. Keth feel cold. The galaxy's worst nightmare. A wandering species that ate other thinking beings not just for food, but because they enjoyed the fear and pain. No talking, no mercy, no prisoners left alive. Sir Marcus Kim appeared in the station's control room within minutes. He was still putting on his combat gear, but looked fully awake and alert. "What is our fighting situation?" Commander Zix pointed to the floating display showing 17 red dots moving toward the station. "Devourer hunting pack. They have blocked 3 of our 5 escape routes. The colony ship New Haven left 2 days ago with 8,000 mixed-species colonists, mostly civilians, including 500 children." Her bug-mouth parts clicked with worry. "They are directly in the Devourer's path. Can we change the colony ship's direction?" Marcus asked, studying the tactical display. Professor Nex's crystal body glowed dim red. "No, they are moving too fast, and their engines are already working at maximum to reach the next safe system. Changing course would use up all their fuel. How long until Confederation fleet arrives?" Marcus's voice stayed steady and professional. 36 hours minimum, Commander Zix replied. "The Devourers will catch the colony ship in 18 hours if they keep going straight." Dr. Keth watched Marcus think about this information. She looked for the tiny facial expressions that humans showed during stress. She expected to see calculation, fear, Maybe the start of self-protection planning. Instead, she saw something completely different. What about a blocking action? Marcus asked. If we take the station's defense fleet and meet the Devourers here. He pointed to a spot between the station and the colony ship. We could delay them long enough for Confederation help to arrive. Mindlink Kel's group consciousness did the fighting math in seconds. Chance of survival for defense fleet, 2.7%. Station defense fleet has 6 light frigates against 17 Devourer hunting ships. Logical action is immediate evacuation. What about the colonists? Marcus asked quietly. Acceptable losses, Professor Nex stated with crystal certainty. 8,000 individuals versus the scientific knowledge on this station. The math favors keeping research assets safe. Dr. Keth saw something flicker in Marcus's eyes. Something dangerous. 8,000 people are not mathematics. They are 8,000 people. Sir Marcus, Commander Zix, said gently, the Zephyrian Collective is correct. A blocking action would be suicide. The logical choice is to save ourselves. The logical choice, Marcus interrupted, his hand unconsciously moving to rest on his sword handle, is to make sure those families reach safety, whatever the cost. The alien observers exchanged glances. Here it was. The perfect test scenario they had planned to create artificially. Honor versus survival, played out in terrible reality. You would die for strangers, Dr. Keth asked. People you have never met, from species not your own. Marcus looked at her with something like surprise. Would not you? The question hung in the air like a physical weight. Dr. Keth realized she had no immediate answer. I will take a volunteer squadron, Marcus continued, turning back to the tactical display. Anyone else who wants to make a stand? The station. Crew evacuates to the backup facility. If we can buy 18 hours. Sir Marcus, Professor Nexus light pulsed urgent orange. You are having a thinking error. Your emotional attachment to abstract concepts is overriding survival logic. Marcus smiled. Actually smiled, facing almost certain death. Maybe, but I swore an oath to protect innocent people. Cannot think of 8,000 people more innocent than colonist families looking for a new home. Dr. Keth felt something new in her body, a flutter of something that might have been inspiration. I volunteer for your squadron. Every alien in the control room turned to stare at her. Her own words shocked her as much as they shocked them. Dr. Keth, Commander Zix's voice carried deep concern. You have no military training. Your research is invaluable to the Confederation. The human is right, Dr. Keth said, her voice growing stronger. They are 8,000 people. That has to mean something. Over the next hour, something extraordinary happened. One by one, members of the research team volunteered for Marcus's impossible mission. Beings who had spent their entire careers analyzing behavior rather than acting. Commander Zix volunteered. Mindlink Kel assigned 3 of their individual drones. Professor Nex volunteered. Even some of the station's civilian researchers stepped forward as they prepared for battle. Dr. Keth realized they were about to experience honor, not as an academic concept, but as a living force. A force that transformed mere survival into something worth dying for. She no longer wondered why humans made seemingly illogical choices. She was about to make one herself. The steadfast honor dropped out of hyperspace, exactly where the math said the Devourer fleet would catch the colony ship. Marcus had insisted on renaming the lead frigate. 17 enemy contacts appeared immediately on screens, their ugly biomech ships covered with horrible weapons that had terrorized the galaxy for centuries. All ships, this is Sir Marcus Kim. His voice carried calm certainty across the channels. Remember, we are not here to win this fight. We are here to buy time. Every minute we hold them is another minute 8,000 people get closer to safety. Dr. Keth strapped into the weapons console she had learned to use in the past 12 hours. Her body struggled to control fear as combat stress hit her system. Around her, The volunteer crew worked with grim determination at stations they barely understood. Scientists and researchers who had never seen battle before. "Devourer lead ship is calling us," Commander Zix reported from communications. Her mouth parts clicked nervously as she added, "They are laughing." "Put them through," Marcus said. The main screen filled with the nightmare face of a Devourer War Alpha. Multiple feeding tentacles moved as it spoke in the galactic trade language. "Little prey ships think to challenge the hunt pack. We taste your fear across the void. Surrender, and we will eat you quickly." Marcus stood from his command chair. Dr. Keth noticed he had strapped on his old sword. "I am Sir Marcus Kim, Knight of the Terran Colonial Defense Corps. You will not pass this point." The Devourer's laughter increased. "One human and his pet researchers. You delay nothing. The colony ship will feed us well when we finish with your corpses. Then you will have to go through us," Marcus replied simply, and closed the channel. The battle began badly, and got worse. The Devourer ships moved like hunting animals, their weapons designed not just to destroy but to cause maximum suffering. The volunteer squadrons, 6 frigates, were outgunned, outmaneuvered, and rapidly being picked apart. But something unexpected happened as the fighting got more intense. Dr. Keth watched Marcus coordinate the battle and began to understand what honor looked like in practice. When the frigate Courage took critical damage and began to fall behind, Marcus ordered the Steadfast Honor to drop back and protect the wounded ship. This exposed them to concentrated enemy fire. "Sir Marcus," she hissed over the internal com. "Tactical doctrine suggests abandoning damaged vessels to preserve fighting strength." "Tactical doctrine never took an oath to protect those who cannot protect themselves," Marcus replied. His hands stayed steady on the controls as weapons fire lit up their shields. "Chang's ship has 30 people on it. We do not abandon our own." Professor Nex, working the engineering console with surprising skill, pulsed, "Brilliant white. Fascinating. The humans' honor compliance actually increased unit cohesion. The Courage's crew is fighting more effectively, not less, because they know they will not be abandoned." The pattern repeated throughout the battle. When Mindlink Kell's drone ship lost life support, Marcus ordered an emergency rescue, despite being outnumbered 3-1 in their immediate combat zone. When Commander Zix's weapons overloaded and left her defenseless, every ship in the squadron moved to protect her. What started as a suicide mission began to change into something else entirely. "Sir Marcus," Dr. Keth called out, as her sensors detected something unexpected. "The Devourer formation is changing. They are pulling back from close engagement." Marcus studied the tactical display, his expression thoughtful. "They are pack hunters. They are used to prey that runs, scatters, abandons the weak. We are not behaving like prey." The Devourers seemed confused, Professor Nex observed. "Their attack patterns are becoming less coordinated." Commander Zix's antennae twitched with sudden realization. "They hunt through fear and desperation. But we are not afraid. We are—" She searched for the right word. "Proud. Determined." "You are learning," Marcus said with a fierce grin. "Honor is not about being fearless. It is about doing what is right, even when you are afraid." Dr. Keth felt something shift in her understanding. As she watched the mixed species crew work together, protecting each other, sharing resources, refusing to abandon wounded enemies, she realized honor was not a human quirk. It was a choice available to anyone willing to make it. The strangest thing happened as the hours passed. The Devourers, who fed on fear and pain, found themselves facing opponents who felt neither. Instead of the terror and desperation they expected, they encountered beings who grew stronger through mutual protection. When one ship was damaged, the others rallied around it. When supplies ran low, they were shared equally. When someone was wounded, others risked themselves to provide aid. The squadron fought not as individuals trying to survive, but as a unit determined to protect something bigger than themselves. 17 hours and 36 minutes, Dr. Keth announced as new contacts appeared on long-range sensors. Confederation. Reinforcements have arrived. The Devourer fleet, confused and frustrated by prey that refused to act like prey, began to withdraw. They had expected an easy hunt and found instead an enemy that grew stronger through sacrifice. When the rescue ships arrived, they found something unprecedented, a surviving squadron of volunteer researchers and scientists who had held off a superior Devourer force through determination and mutual protection. More importantly, they found 8,000 grateful families reaching safety, protected by beings who had chosen honor over survival, and discovered the two were not always opposites. 6 months after the Battle of Omega-7, Dr. Keth stood in front of the biggest meeting room in the galaxy. The huge round space buzzed with the sounds of 47 different alien species, all wanting to understand what had changed everything. The thing humans call honor, she began, her voice strong and clear, is not a mistake or broken thinking. It is humanity's greatest gift to all of us. Doubtful sounds filled the air, chirps, clicks, and electronic beeps from different alien languages showed they did not believe her. Council Leader Vorth raised one massive tentacle. Dr. Keth, your old reports said honor was inefficient resource use. That was before I lived it myself, she replied. Behind her, big screens showed footage from the battle. Mixed species crews working perfectly together, sacrificing personal safety for group benefit, staying strong through protecting each other rather than following traditional military rules. Look at the fighting analysis, Dr. Keth continued. Sir Marcus Kim's squadron kept 97% of their people alive against impossible odds. Not despite their honor-based decisions, but because of them. Normal military thinking would have resulted in everyone dying within the first hour. Professor Nex, his crystal body now permanently colored with the silver of honored service, pulsed with supporting light. The math cannot be argued. Honor-based cooperation makes units much more effective. We have seen similar results in 17 more mixed-species operations. Commander Zix, wearing the new badge of the Confederation's first interspecies honor. Guard clicked her mouthparts in agreement. The Devourer fleets have started avoiding areas patrolled by honor code squadrons. They cannot understand our fighting responses because we operate outside their hunting behavior models. MindLink, Kel's group consciousness, spoke through their main drone. Individual drones, assigned to honor code units, show 340% increased initiative and problem-solving ability. The honor framework appears to unlock previously unused thinking potential. Dr. Keth moved to her next display. But the most important discovery is this: honor spreads like a disease. Contact with honor-based decision-making creates measurable changes in brain chemistry across multiple species. Scar temperature control improves. Zephyrian individual consciousness becomes stronger. Vorthok creative thinking increases by 67%. The council chamber became completely quiet as everyone understood what this meant. Council Leader Vorth's voice carried deep thought. You are saying that honor, this human behavioral trait, can be learned and passed to other species. Not just learned, Dr. Keth said, her scales shifting to the proud gold of her people's highest achievement display. Integrated. Sir Marcus Kim did not teach us honor through lectures or training programs. He showed it through actions, and those actions inspired us to find our own ability for honor. Right on time, Sir Marcus Kim himself entered the big room. 6 months of combat and diplomacy had added new scars and gray threads to his hair, but he still carried himself with that perfect mix of humility and confidence that had first puzzled the research team. Honored delegates, he said, bowing slightly to the assembly. Dr. Keth gives me too much credit. I did not bring anything to your species that was not already there. Honor is not only human, it is available to everyone. We just happened to develop cultural ways that helped us recognize and grow it. He pointed to his companions from the research station. These beings showed more courage in one battle than most soldiers see in a lifetime of service, not because they copied human behavior, but because they chose to act on values they already held. Council Leader Vorth considered this. The Confederation Military Command has asked for formal adoption of honor-based protocols in all mixed-species operations. They cite remarkable improvements in unit working together, tactical innovation, and mission success rates. With respect, Council Leader Marcus said, honor cannot be ordered or made into rules. It is a personal choice that spreads through example. You cannot order someone to have honor. You can only show it, and hope others choose to embrace it. Dr. Keth stepped forward, which is why the research team suggests establishing the Interspecies Chivalric Academy. Not a military school, but a place where beings from all species can learn to recognize and develop their own capacity for honor-based behavior. And Sir Marcus Kim has agreed to serve as the Academy's first Director of Applied Ethics, Commander Zix added, though he insists the position should simply be called Knight Instructor. The vote was unanimous. Within a year, the Academy had students from every Confederation species. Honor Code squadrons began patrolling the most dangerous areas of space. Devourer attacks decreased by 78% as hunting species met crews that refused to break, scatter, or abandon their principles under pressure. Years later, historians marked the Battle of Omega-7 as the beginning of the Honor Wars, not because honor created conflict, but because it ended it. When beings choose to protect rather than exploit, to sacrifice rather than abandon, to trust rather than suspect, the galaxy becomes a fundamentally different place. Dr. Keth, now Director of Ethics at the Academy, often told her students, humans did not teach us honor. They simply reminded us that we already had the greatest strength in the universe, the ability to choose what is right over what is easy. Sir Marcus Kim usually added, and once you make that choice, you discover you were never as alone as you thought. The sword he carried now stood in the Academy's Great Hall, not as a weapon, but as a symbol of commitment to ideals that went beyond species, logic, and even survival itself. Honor was not humanity's gift to the galaxy, it was the galaxy's gift to itself.